I'll never forget, I went into the emergency room one time. I had an accident, and I hit the ground really hard, and I was on a motocross track, and I just got the air knocked out of me. And I remember I lifted up my shirt, my buddy was right here next to me, and I said, "Hey, is there anything wrong with my side? Like, I can't breathe." And he just looked at me in a panic look. And he said, "We need to go to the emergency room." And I looked down, and I literally could see all of my ribs. I could see my intestines. It was the most wild experience, and I was still conscious. And I went to the emergency room, and we pulled up to the ER where the windows are, and it was shut, and it was locked. And I saw someone in there, and I was hunched over like this, and I knocked on the window, and the nurse said, "You gotta go around." And I lifted up my shirt, and she goes, "Let me open the door." And I've had so many different experiences in motocross that has led me down this journey during this experience of multiple injuries that have given me a different outlook on healthcare. And I want to share some of those with you today. As you read this quote, I notice there's something terribly wrong with this quote. It's supposed to say, Gary Edwards is the best kept secret in healthcare. That was a typo, I'm sorry. I have experienced all these different motocross injuries throughout my life. And I went to PT school, and as I was introduced, I've broken 34 bones. And by the way, I turned 35, and I haven't broken a bone this year. My birthday's in 4 days, so we got to get through the 4 days. But what I've realized through these experiences and going to PT school, I've realized that there's so much to know about healthcare. There's so much to know about the human body. And I went through PT school, and I was in musculoskeletal, and I was learning about compartment syndrome. And I just thought, oh my gosh, that's me. I had that. And then I got to, another musculoskeletal exam class, and we were looking over, or actually it was our imaging class, and we looked at severe arthritis in the shoulder. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. And I was going through all these different classes, and I was seeing all these injuries, and I just thought, oh, fibromyalgia, oh, that's me. Everything hurts. Right? I was in neuro, and I was like, dementia, that's me. I mean, all these things, right? And I just thought to myself, I am a wreck. And everyone was worried about all passing exams, and I'm just worried about my life and how I was going to manage all these things, right? And then I graduated PT school, and I thought to myself, I am the biggest hypocrite. Like, I live in pain daily. My hands hurt, my wrists hurt, my shoulders hurt, my back hurts, my leg that I almost had amputated hurts. Everything hurts. And how am I supposed to go about my life and teach people to live not in pain, but yet I was living it myself, right? And I came across all these different questions. What does science tell us? Does arthritis cause pain? Or is it maybe the joint's just unstable? Does imaging always correlate with the things that we're feeling? Does joint popping happen from arthritis, or is maybe just air leaving the joint capsule? A lot of these questions I had as I went throughout PT school. Is pain always caused by trauma, or can it be imbalances in strength? Can it be imbalances in coordination? Can it be a lack of sleep or nutrition? All these questions were in my mind, and I began to question healthcare in general. I went to providers that told me that my shoulders looked like an 85-year-old shoulder. I was like, well, thank you. That is not helpful. Injections, medication, all these different things. I wanted to find answers. And I went through PT school and had all these questions. And then I graduated, and I felt like this. I understand nothing, right? But then I went through the next year, and I committed to myself. I said, I will not be that hypocrite. I will spend this year, and I dove deep into education. I dove so deep. I was getting like 10 hours of Con Ed a week. I was doing everything in my power to understand the human body and it was very selfish. I wanted to get out of pain myself. It took me a year. I went through every single one of my injuries, and I fixed every single one. I have not lived with those pains anymore. And I want to share with you some of the things that I've done for me and hundreds of other patients that have just relied on conservative care. And this quote from Brene Brown, which I love: "Science is not the truth. Science is about finding the truth. When science changes its opinion, it did not lie to you. It learned from it." Science changes every day. We all know that. It's changed over time. It's evolved. This medicine 3.0 is all about prevention. What can we do conservatively before all this medication? Look at this opioid crisis. This is amazing, these stats, right? And I'm talking about the progression, right? In 2024, we saw a 24% decrease in opioid deaths. And I know this is very political. This is all opioids. But to see in the last 45 years, this is the largest single drop that we've had in 45 years. That is to all of you. What we're doing in healthcare is working. What we're doing is focusing on conservative care. And it's making a big difference. This year, we passed a bill for physical therapists to become primary care providers. These are the reasons why. These are the stats where people need to start as an entry point. Physical therapists have been primary care since the 80s. This bill that passed this year does not change anything that what we do. We were already doing it. The scope of practice as physical therapists has not changed. We are not prescribing medicine. We're an entry point to care. We're an entry point to the system. We have to be experts in this to deliver excellent care. So the prevalence with shoulder pain. This is really interesting. I'm going to go to the third bullet point. New studies suggest that if you have a sitting job for more than 4 hours a day, you're 1.7 times more likely to have shoulder pain. Shoulder pain may or may not be associated with trauma. It may be an imbalance. It might be other things. 50% of manual labor jobs have shoulder pain. This is a big deal. What I love about the shoulder is what David taught the other day, like about the shoulder, right? About this ball. It's a golf ball on a tee. This golf ball, and Robert taught this as well, David and Robert. But this golf ball on a tee is a ratio. The reason why we explain the shoulder as a golf ball on a tee is because the ratio of the ball is 4 times larger than the socket. It makes it so you have a ton of mobility. And so we can manipulate our world. We have 180 degrees of flexion and abduction. We have 60 degrees of extension, 90 degrees of external rotation, and 60 degrees of internal rotation. It has more range of motion in this shoulder complex than any other joint in the body. It has 4 joint articulations: the AC joint, SC joint, glenohumeral joint, and scapulothoracic articulation. The beauty about the shoulder is it can move so far. The challenging part about the shoulder, it requires a maximum amount of stability. It has 21 muscles that surround the shoulder, 4 rotator cuff muscles, a lot of passive ligaments that stabilize. But if these 21 muscles aren't working in collaboration with each other, it can cause these imbalances and a lot of pain as well. What I've identified is patterns. Patterns in the shoulder, over treating hundreds of patients with shoulder pain, that I've realized have been one of the main causes that have fixed a lot of shoulder pain. And these are some of those causes. Lats too tight. What do lats do? Lats come into this position, right? If you have lats too tight, you cannot fully flex your shoulder, right? It causes you to compensate in different ways. It limits optimal shoulder mechanics. Pecs too tight. And this could be passive, resting passive tension. It could be a weakness. The body stabilizes and tightens typically because there's a weakness there as well. So we need to lengthen that tissue and then also stabilize that tissue as well. You can have a limited thoracic motion. If we also know that you need 180 degrees of shoulder flexion, you also need thoracic extension as well. So if we're not getting that thoracic extension, it demands more motion through the shoulder. If you don't get motion through one part of the body, it demands motion more towards the other. And remember, the shoulder requires an immense amount of stability. Limited external rotation strength. The external rotators play a huge role in stability. We see a lot of bicep tendonitis. Why does the bicep tendonitis happen? A lot of us could say, oh, it's repetitious overload. It gets overloaded over and over and over. Why would it get overloaded? Was it one thing? Or is it what the 21 muscles were not doing? All the other muscles are not doing their job. I explain this often as a group project. You ever been in a group project? There's 3 people doing all the work. What are the other people doing? Right? The shoulder has to work collectively together for it all to work well. External rotators should be around 2/3, if you were to measure with a dynamometer, 2/3 the strength of what internal rotators should be. Have we had that tested? Does that work? It absolutely works. Underactive or weak and low mid traps. If your lats are tight, it limits your ability to go overhead into full flexion. It limits your ability to stabilize at that top point, which then your low and mid trap muscles become very underactive, and it's one of the biggest muscles for stabilization for the shoulder. If you can't get there, if you can't access the motion in the first place, how are those muscles supposed to be even strong anyways? So that's one of the biggest things that we've seen in shoulder pain. Overactive upper traps. Who holds stress in their upper traps? You've heard that, right? Why? A lot of the research studies say that your cognition is directly tied to your upper trap activity. The harder you have to think, the more upper trap activity you have. If your upper trap is always engaged, what happens to the reciprocal muscle? The opposite, the low trap. It's underengaged. So if we're always here all day, one of the main stabilizing muscles is not doing its job. Over time, it becomes very imbalanced. I explain this to patients as a tire going down the road. You have a perfectly good tire, and this tire becomes very unbalanced. You have to take your car to the mechanic, put the weights on, and it balances out the tire. These 21 muscles also become imbalanced. Each one has to do their job. And that's our job as physical therapists, is to help train those and get those all working together as a team. So these are the phases of physical therapy. This is where it becomes complex. I opened my clinics about 4 years ago. We opened up 3 clinics in 3 years. That was a lot. I'll just tell you that. But I've learned a really good principle. There's scaling, which is filling up the clinics, and then there's expanding. I'm relating this to physical therapy because a lot of physical therapists will do the wrong things in the wrong sequence. Sometimes you want to go deep and narrow. Sometimes you want to go wide and expand, right? Sometimes you want to skip a step. Sometimes steps are skipped. Sometimes they need to happen at the same time. And it becomes very complex. But these are the steps. Physical therapy is not exercise. I just want to erase that from your mind. A lot of people think PT is just exercise. I can just get it off YouTube. But there's a sequence. Sometimes they happen simultaneously. Sometimes they have to happen in order. And it's our job as physical therapists to work through these things. I really like this quote. Doctors of physical therapy are not medical doctors. And medical doctors are not doctors of physical therapy. Physical therapists provide a unique but complementary service to physicians are untrained to provide. Each one of us have our own unique area of specialty. Each one of us complement each other. We're not in competition with each other. We are here to support each other. I believe we are in what's called the healthcare revolution, where we're all coming together collectively as one. I have not seen this happen in my entire life. And I have been in healthcare, I've been in emergency rooms my entire life. I've broken way too many bones. I've been that person that you wanted to see, that you invited all your friends to come see my trauma. I've been that person. And I've also never seen the community come together like this. And I want to start with where I began, that PT is not the best kept secret in healthcare. It's this community. It's each one of us becoming better every day, identifying our mistakes, identifying our errors, identifying the things that we're weak at, and becoming better, making an active choice. We all say things that may hurt another. We move on. We protect each other. We lift each other, and we help each other. I believe this healthcare revolution is happening and is starting in this room. It will start and it will create more and more and more. And for the betterment of the patient. For the patient that was me. I want that. and I know all of you want it too. Thank you.